You've seen him. He walks in, no words, no flashy clothes, no loud laugh, just presence, and the room feels it. The atmosphere bends around him. People lean in when he talks, but he doesn't talk much. They laugh when he doesn't smile. He says less, yet they remember everything he says. Why? Because that man holds something most men never build: unshakable, jaw-dropping charisma. Not the fake, try-hard, over-smiling type. I'm talking about the kind of charisma that makes people uncomfortable because they can't figure out how he's doing it. The kind that makes people question their own confidence just by standing next to him. You want that. Every man does. And here's your yes. Yes, it's real. Yes, you can learn it. And yes, I'm putting together the Stoic relationship blueprint for men. The most powerful, brutally honest relationship and charisma playbook ever written for men. This isn't just for looks or status, it's survival. In a world that silences masculine presence, this guide will hand it back to you with brutal clarity. Most men will go through life invisible. But you, if you take this path, you'll never be forgotten again. Drop untouchable energy in the comments if you're ready to reclaim your power and want me to send you this ebook the moment it drops. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Emotional control equals power. You might not realize this now, but the single most magnetic trait a man can ever master is the ability to feel everything without having to show it. Think about the last time someone insulted you in a subtle way. Maybe a slight jab, maybe a tone that didn't sit right. Most men either lash out or withdraw. But the man who keeps his head while the world spins around him isn't numb. He's aware, more aware than anyone else in the room. He knows what was said. He knows the game that's being played. But instead of reacting, he chooses. And that right there, choice, is the root of real emotional power. The man who chooses his response isn't bound by others. He's free, because it's easy to react. It takes nothing to let your emotions hijack the moment. But the man who can feel insulted and still stay calm, who can be challenged and still stand tall without raising his voice, without defending every word, that man earns a kind of respect most people never taste. Imagine walking through your life knowing that no one can provoke you out of your grounded state. That no matter how tense things get, your presence anchors the room. Not through effort, but through discipline. You've likely met this man. He's the one who doesn't interrupt. He watches. He waits. His posture speaks more than words. And when he finally speaks, people lean in. Not because he forced it, but because the energy he holds demands it. In relationships, this becomes a magnet. Your partner will try to draw reactions out of you, not always maliciously, but to test if what you project is real. And if your moods shift every time she does, you've already failed the test. But if you can maintain your direction, your steadiness, you become irreplaceable. There's no need to control others when you control yourself. Think about how different your life would be if you never felt the urge to prove anything. If you could be insulted and not shrink. If you could be praised and not swell. That's the power of the inner citadel. You don't flinch when challenged. You don't chase when dismissed. You simply stand, steady, while others dance in their chaos. In a world that screams for attention, the man who doesn't react becomes a signal of something ancient, something rare. That calm invites people in. But here's what most won't tell you. It's hard. You will be tempted. Your ego will itch to respond. But you don't answer every itch. You train yourself not to scratch. That discipline, practiced daily, becomes gravity. People will feel it. They won't be able to explain why they listen to you more, why they feel safe near you, why they ask for your opinion without you offering it. It's because you're not moved by every gust of emotion. And in a stormy world, a steady man is shelter. You become trusted not by being agreeable, but by being immovable. You don't chase calmness. You become it. And by becoming it, you influence everything and everyone around you without needing to manipulate a single soul. Master this, and the world no longer pulls you. You begin to pull the world. Number 2. No approval needed. Most men are starving for validation, and they don't even realize it. It's hidden in their compliments, in their smiles that stretch just a little too far, in their words that sound rehearsed, in the subtle way they seek a reaction after they speak. It's in the way they overshare in conversations, trying to impress, trying to be liked, trying to win over strangers. But true power, the kind that makes people look twice, starts the moment you no longer need anyone to see you to feel seen. That shift is seismic. Imagine waking up tomorrow and not needing a single person to confirm your worth. Imagine being in a room and not adjusting yourself to fit. That freedom, that's what makes you magnetic. Because when people sense you don't need them, they start needing you. And this doesn't mean you become cold or arrogant. It means you live from a place of fullness. Your cup is already full, so you're not walking around asking people to pour into you. And ironically, that's when they start offering. Ask yourself, when was the last time you did something without checking how it looked to others? When was the last time you sat in a moment without reaching for your phone to escape? You've been trained to believe that approval equals worth. That likes mean value. That attention means acceptance. But those are rented feelings. The moment the source disappears, so does your sense of self. That's why so many feel empty even when surrounded by people. Because what they're really craving is not popularity, it's self-possession. You reclaim that by refusing to ask the world who you are. You decide. You become the kind of man who moves through spaces as if you belong, not because someone said so, but because your posture tells the truth. You belong wherever you choose to stand. Think of the man who walks into a crowded room and doesn't scan it for approval. He isn't dressing for others. He isn't changing his opinions to match the vibe. He speaks in tones that feel carved from stone, not because he's trying to shock, but because he has nothing to hide. That's what people are starving for. Authenticity wrapped in unapologetic calm. In relationships, this becomes irresistible. You stop asking her if she still loves you. You stop chasing her moods. You start leading, not by telling her what to do, but by being a man whose energy sets the emotional tone of the entire relationship. And this scares people, because when you stop needing them, they either step up or step out. And you welcome both. You are no longer interested in keeping energy that's not meant for you. Your presence begins to filter your circle. Low-effort energy starts avoiding you because it knows it can't survive around you. And people feel it. They start bringing more. They start respecting your time, your space, your mind. Why? Because you respect it first. Approval no longer becomes the currency. Self-trust does. You'll know you've reached this level when you can sit in a conversation, smile when you mean it, speak when it matters, and walk away without second-guessing a single moment. That's when your aura speaks louder than your words. You don't broadcast your worth, you embody it. And in a world built on superficial connections, that depth will pull people in, not because you asked them to, but because they've never seen anything like it. Number 3, challenge without fear. Most people aren't looking for truth, they're looking for comfort, and they surround themselves with those who confirm their biases, validate their insecurities, and keep their illusions safe. But the man who radiates charisma isn't afraid to disrupt that comfort with clarity, because he understands something most men never realize, that growth does not live in agreement. It thrives in friction, in confrontation, in the bold willingness to challenge what needs to be challenged, even when it risks disapproval, even when it invites discomfort, even when it causes the room to stiffen with tension, because he values truth more than harmony, and courage more than applause. This is the man who can sit across from someone and gently but firmly disagree, not to win, not to dominate, but because he refuses to betray his own voice just to maintain false peace. And people feel it. They feel the strength it takes to hold a boundary when it would be easier to nod and smile. They feel the courage it takes to call out disrespect without raising your tone. They feel the maturity it takes to let someone feel offended without feeling the need to apologize for being honest. Think about your life. How many times have you agreed with something you didn't believe just to avoid conflict? How many times have you stayed quiet when everything in your gut said speak? That's not peacekeeping, that's self-erasure. And every time you do it, you chip away at your own integrity, your own center. But the man who doesn't fear conflict, who doesn't walk on eggshells, who is willing to say the hard truth in the softest voice, becomes a lighthouse, an unwavering point in a world built on shifting sand. This is what makes you magnetic. People may not like it at first. They may resist it, push back, criticize. But over time, they return to you. Because the one who told them the truth, even when it was hard, is the one they remember when all the noise fades. In relationships, this is everything. If you cannot challenge your partner without defensiveness, if you cannot hold your frame when her emotions rise, if you cannot lovingly but firmly express your standards and walk away when they're crossed, then your attraction will die, not all at once, but slowly, quietly, until one day you're just another forgettable face she tolerated. But when you hold your truth without aggression, when you speak with a calm certainty that needs no validation, you become unforgettable. You don't seek to offend, but you also don't seek to please. You seek what's real, and in a world where real is rare, that becomes gold. This is why people remember certain men, not because they were the loudest, not because they had the best jokes or the most charm, but because they made people think, question, grow. They brought truth into the room like a storm that clears the air. And when you live this way, unafraid to challenge, unwilling to lie, you don't just build charisma, you build a reputation that echoes long after you're gone. You are the one they come to when they want the truth. You are the one they trust when things fall apart. You are the one who walked through fire and didn't flinch. And that is why they follow you. Number 4, laser-like presence. You can't fake presence. You can pretend for a while. You can smile at the right times, nod your head when people talk, ask follow-up questions, and make it seem like you're engaged. But people always feel when you're not fully there, and they feel it not through your words, but through something much deeper, something ancient, something primal. Presence isn't about being loud or animated or interesting. It's about being so grounded, so tuned in to the moment, so anchored in your own experience, that people feel like they're the only person that exists when they talk to you. That's the kind of presence that creates lifelong loyalty, that makes people open up to you without knowing why, that makes women feel safe around you without understanding the reason, that makes rooms shift when you enter, not because you did anything dramatic, but because your stillness carries weight. Imagine a conversation where the other person is fidgeting, looking around, checking their phone, distracted. And then imagine one where they are looking at you with full attention, hearing every word, noticing every breath. Which one feels more powerful? Which one draws you in? This is what charismatic men understand, that attention is influence, and influence is power. When you can hold your awareness on someone, not to manipulate them, but to actually see them, they start responding to you in ways they don't even understand. They start valuing your opinion more, respecting your presence more, seeking your input more, because they feel seen in a way that's rare. This is why the most charismatic men often speak less. Not because they're shy, not because they have nothing to say, but because they're absorbing, calculating, sensing. And when they finally speak, Their words feel precise, deliberate, impactful. You can develop this. It's not magic, it's not genetic, it's discipline. It's choosing to be where you are instead of living in your head. It's learning to focus so deeply that your awareness becomes a force field. It's asking a question and actually listening to the answer, not just waiting for your turn to talk. It's holding eye contact, not to intimidate, but to connect. It's becoming so present that people forget the world around them when they're around you. This doesn't just make you charismatic, it makes you unforgettable. Because in a world addicted to distraction, the man who pays attention becomes a magnet. People start remembering you, not because of what you said, but because of how they felt when they were with you. Grounded, safe, seen. That's rare. And that rarity builds power, real power. Power that doesn't need to shout. Power that doesn't beg for recognition. Power that speaks, even when you're silent. And when you walk into a room with that kind of presence, you don't need introductions. People feel you. They watch you. They follow your energy without knowing why. Because presence isn't something you do. It's something you become. Number 5. High standards equals high magnetism. Every man wants respect, but most don't understand that respect is not something you demand. It's something you attract by the standards you set and refuse to lower. And these standards aren't just about how others treat you. They're about how you treat yourself when no one's watching. About the decisions you make when the easy option is right there tempting you. About the lines you draw and never let anyone cross, no matter who they are or how much you think you want them in your life. Think back to the last time you tolerated something that didn't sit right with you. Maybe it was a disrespectful tone from a friend. Maybe it was attention crumbs from someone you liked. Maybe it was being talked over in a meeting or laughed off when you shared a boundary. And ask yourself this: what did you teach the world about what you're willing to accept? Because that's exactly what they learn. And people will always mirror back the standards you broadcast through your words, your actions, your energy. When you raise your standards, your life changes, not because others become better, but because you stop allowing less. A man with standards walks differently. He speaks with a measured weight. He doesn't chase because he knows not everything is worthy of him. He doesn't stay in places that dim his light just to avoid being alone. He chooses discomfort over disrespect, and people feel it. A woman can tell within minutes if she's talking to a man who's clear on what he allows and what he doesn't. She may test it, push a little, see if it's real, and when she realizes it is, when she realizes that no amount of beauty or charm will make you bend, something shifts. You become a rare breed, not because you're cold or cruel, but because you value your peace more than attention, your dignity more than connection, your purpose more than fleeting validation. In friendships too, your standards will begin to act like filters. You'll stop laughing at jokes that come at your expense. You'll stop pretending you're okay with low-effort interactions. You'll stop initiating with people who make you feel like an option. And slowly, your circle will shrink, but the quality will rise, because high standards repel mediocrity. You'll start attracting people who respect your time, who listen when you speak, who match your effort without needing reminders. And this shift won't be loud. You won't need to announce it. You'll just move differently. You'll stop explaining your worth and start embodying it. And suddenly you'll realize that the respect you used to beg for now comes uninvited. Why? Because people trust those who trust themselves. Because you didn't just say you had standards, you lived them. In every decision, in every interaction, in every breath. And that kind of consistency is rare. It's magnetic. And once you build it, once you become the kind of man who would rather walk alone than compromise what he believes, people don't just respect you. They admire you. They follow you. Not because you ask them to, but because you became someone they couldn't ignore. Number 6. Power of delay. In a world addicted to instant everything, instant answers, instant approval, instant validation, there's something profoundly powerful about a man who is comfortable waiting, who is deliberate in his movement, who doesn't flinch in silence or rush to fill every gap with noise. And this power doesn't come from pretending to be calm. It comes from understanding that every second you delay is a second you take control of the pace, of the energy, of the frame. Most people are ruled by urgency. They answer texts within seconds, explain themselves before being asked, jump to conclusions, react to every tone shift, every pause, every discomfort. But the man who waits, who listens, processes, pauses, he controls the rhythm. And rhythm is everything. It dictates how people speak to you, how they think around you, how they feel in your presence. If you've ever been in a room with someone who doesn't rush to speak, who gives your words space to breathe, who doesn't over-validate or overshare, you've felt it. It's grounding, it's intimidating. It makes you slow down too. It makes you respect the interaction more. This is the psychology of pause. When you delay, not out of fear, but out of choice, you become less predictable. And what's unpredictable becomes captivating. Think about attraction. When you meet someone and they respond instantly to everything you say, when they always agree, when they never take time to reflect, the mystery dies quickly. But when someone takes their time, when they let moments stretch just a little longer than usual, it creates tension. Not discomfort, not awkwardness, tension. And tension is magnetic. You become the moment others anticipate. You turn the space between your actions into something that holds value. This applies to conflict too. When someone confronts you and you don't react instantly, when you let them finish, breathe, and then calmly say what needs to be said, it changes everything. It disarms aggression. It shifts power. Because most people are preparing to be argued with. But when you don't take the bait, when you let your pause speak for you, they're left with nothing to fight. This is where respect grows, not because you silenced them, but because you didn't need to. In conversations, delays signal thoughtfulness. In decisions, they signal certainty. In relationships, they signal emotional maturity. And in leadership, they signal trust. You don't chase clarity. You wait for it. You don't race to win. You let others exhaust themselves while you conserve your energy for moves that actually matter. This is the essence of power, not in how fast you act, but in how intentional you are with every step. And when people see that you don't rush to respond, that you don't need to prove yourself in every moment, that you are confident enough to let the world speak first while you listen, they begin to see you as something different, something rare, something solid. Not because you're trying to be, but because you are. You have trained yourself to own time, and when you own time, you own presence, you own energy, you own influence, and the world starts moving to your rhythm, not the other way around. Number 7. The shift that changes everything. There is a moment in every man's life, whether it comes in a quiet night alone, after a breakup, in the mirror after a setback, or while watching someone else walk into a room and command the kind of respect you've secretly craved, when something deep inside you whispers that what you've been doing is no longer enough, that the way you've been moving through the world, second-guessing yourself, adapting to gain approval, holding back your instincts, laughing at things that aren't funny, tolerating situations that eat away at your spirit, has built a version of you that's no longer true. And in that moment, everything can change. Not because the world will suddenly be easier, not because people will start treating you differently overnight, but because you finally decide to become the kind of man who no longer asks permission to exist at full power. This shift isn't loud, it's internal. It starts with how you see yourself when nobody's watching. It begins when you stop outsourcing your confidence to other people's reactions, when you no longer use their validation as a mirror to define your worth. And as you make this shift, something wild happens. Your energy starts speaking before you do. People begin reacting to a presence they can't describe but feel. Not because you've added something artificial, but because you've removed everything that isn't you. The overthinking, the doubt, the hesitation, the guilt, the need to explain or soften your truths. You strip yourself down to your core values, your real identity, and you build outward with discipline. And as this clarity sharpens, so does your power. You stop trying to be interesting and become interested in mastering yourself. You no longer chase relationships because you understand that your relationship with yourself is the filter for every connection you build. You no longer beg to be understood because you finally understand yourself, and that is enough. This shift touches everything. In conversation, you speak with calm precision. In chaos, you move with grounded certainty. In rejection, you feel the sting. Don't let it alter your direction. You become the eye of the storm, not untouchable, not cold, but centered, aware, in control. And this shift isn't just about charisma, it's about legacy. What do people feel when they leave your presence? What do they remember? What energy do you leave behind when you exit the room? The man who makes this shift doesn't need to be the loudest, richest, or best looking. He becomes the most respected, the most trusted, the one people seek when they're lost in a storm, not because he has all the answers, but because he's walked through the fire and came out forged, not burned. And this man, this version of you, is waiting, not in some distant future, but now, underneath every apology you don't owe, underneath every moment you withheld truth to keep the peace, underneath every version of you that was shaped by fear, shaped by scarcity, shaped by trying to fit into rooms you were meant to transform. When you choose to make this shift, the world doesn't change immediately, but your place in it does. You stop shrinking, you stop chasing, you stop waiting, and you start building. The conversations you attract deepen. The respect you earn grows. The way people look at you, talk to you, follow your lead, shifts. Not because you forced it, but because you aligned with something timeless. You become the calm in someone else's chaos, the standard in a world of compromise, the presence that doesn't fade with time. This is the shift that changes everything. Not just how others see you, but how you see yourself. It's the shift from seeking power to becoming it, from reacting to leading, from doubting to deciding. And when you live from this place, when every step you take is backed by this clarity, you don't just become more charismatic, you become unforgettable. You've heard the words, you've felt the shift, but now the real work begins. Because what you just experienced, this clarity, this power, this truth, isn't just for watching. It's a call to rise. A call to stop being the man who drifts through life, unseen, unheard, underestimated, and to become the man who owns every room he walks into without saying a word. But I know the weight you carry, the quiet battles, the way society shames you for being strong, then abandons you when you're vulnerable, the way you're expected to lead with no guidance, to stay stoic with no outlet, to be desirable without ever being taught how to truly value yourself. I see it, and that's exactly why I created something that every man, you, needs now more than ever. The Stoic Relationship Blueprint for Men is dropping very soon, and it is not just a guide, it is your toolkit for reclaiming your power in love, leadership, and life. No fluff, no tricks, just pure, unfiltered, timeless truth forged in fire, designed to rebuild you from the inside out and help you navigate today's relationships with the strength, clarity, and unshakable confidence you've always known you had inside you. If you've ever felt lost in a world that doesn't care what you go through, if you've ever given your best only to be disrespected, overlooked, or replaced, if you've ever wished someone would just hand you a map and say, "This is how you win," without losing yourself, then this is it. Comment Blueprint right now if you're ready to claim it the second it drops. This is your time. Don't wait for someone to hand you power. Take it. Like this video, share it with every man who's ready to rise, and subscribe so you never miss the moment this ebook becomes yours.